Hey scrappy people, it's Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a opening page in my Life Crafted album. This is my opener for my second album of the year, and yes, we are still in January. So I'm starting off this page with a page protector that has two DIY Your Scraps cards I made in my DIY Your Scraps video for the Beginnings and Endings collection, and then a 5x8 page on the right hand side. And I'm scrapbooking today about smashing some fitness goals, which feels like I haven't done in forever because COVID really put the kibosh on my fitness for a while there, and so I had to rebuild up my stamina, and I ended up running 6.6 miles the other day, just on a whim. Basically, I just kept running until I couldn't anymore, and I actually could have kept running, but I chose to stop because it was starting to get dark and cold and all of that. Anyway, so I'm celebrating a fitness goal today, and I really wanted to use the Beginnings and Endings collection for this because it is perfect for this sort of layout, and I really wanted to use a lot of the patterns, and I wanted to have a lot of the texture because I have not been using the pocket pages very much in my albums. I've been tending to do what I'm doing right here on the right hand side and build outside the pocket pages. Having some pocket pages on this layout was starting off on sort of a flat foot as far as texture and interactivity goes. So what I'm doing is I'm tearing all of these paper strips, and now I'm sort of roughing up the edges so they just kind of pop up a little bit and add a little texture to this page. So I sped through that nice and quick because it was basically just a whole big repetitive process, and now I am ready to start building my layout. Now that I have the background done, I need something to separate the photo from all of that background color, so I'm going to mat it on this black paper, just a real small black mat around it. And then I'm going to be using a lot of pop dots in this layout to sort of compensate for all of those pulled up tears and keep the texture going and not flatten it. So I'm going to pop up this photo on pop dots over the tears, and then I'm going to start building my layout around it. So I don't really have too much of a plan beyond this actual beginning here, but I do know that I want to put the big numbers 6.6 on the layout because that's a pretty big deal. So that is going to be my main title. I did do the journaling on that journaling card before I ran the 6.6 miles. So I'm actually going to add some additional journaling because the journaling on the journaling card still applies, but I want to add in some additional journaling about the 6.6 miles and how just a few months ago, even running 2 miles straight was just rough on me. And now I'm running 6.6 on a whim, and it's nice to be sort of back in fighting shape. So what I did was I went into the Silhouette software and I printed, or I guess I cut out these sixes into both ways because I didn't know if I wanted the black to be the background or the white to be the background. I had to look at them before I could decide. So I printed them out, or I cut them out both ways, and I just used the offset function in the Silhouette software to create the larger outline for the sixes. And I put these out, and I decided I definitely wanted the black outline to be on the bottom. It worked out better, stood out better. So I'm going to glue them together, and then I'm going to use more pop dots and put them up on the page. There are just an incredible amount of pop dots on this layout. I think I just like saying pop dots. Pop dot, pop dot, pop dot. I'm using liquid glue to glue these down just because it's easier than running a tape runner on those numbers. And so I'm going to sort of work around the photo that's already up on pop dots. So I've only put pop dots on pop dots, pop dots, pop dots. I only put them on the outside edge of that 6 and then just use liquid glue to glue it to the photo. One went under the period, and then a bunch went under this 6 as well. Okay, so I had to make those fit, and the period did not want to fit with the large pop dot that I use, so I actually have to pull it apart and use a smaller one that will wedge underneath those 6s a little bit better. So that's what I'm doing here. And so this is actually looking pretty good. Because the background paper is so busy, I don't need to add too much here, but I do want there to be some florals on this side to match the floral on the card on the right hand side, or on the left hand side. So I'm actually going to add this arrow that says moving on and moving, or yeah, moving on and moving up, because I really like the black anchor up there in that top corner to just add a little bit more black to the layout, and it creates that visual triangle again. Then I'm pulling out some rainbows and some of the florals that I have left from this collection, and I'm just going to sprinkle them all over the page again, using pop dots for some of them to bring them up off of the page. Only some of them though, not all of them. So I am going to shove this one underneath the 6s, and I think that makes it look a little bit more cohesive without that big space in between the 6s that was kind of throwing me off. I'm going to add this up here in the corner. And then I'm just going to take some of these little florals, and I'm going to put one on top and one on bottom of the arrow, and that sort of leads your eye around the page when I add this one too. So you can see it kind of makes a V that's in the same direction of the arrow. So it kind of leads your eye around the page and gives you a place to both enter the page and exit the page, which is always a good design principle. And then we're going to use the word pop dot one more time because I'm not going to put it under the orange one. All right. And seriously, guys, that's it. This page is all done. It was super easy since I already had those cards made, and I just put this right hand side together. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed, and I will leave a link to the beginnings and endings collection in the comment section below. All right, thank you.